As an example of test-based input, I wanted to work through this problem, which is how to input the data for and form the study groups for CSE 111. I actually thought of proposing this as a project for somebody, but didn't do it. And I've tried to make this video before and realized that actually forming the groups is way too complex for a reasonable sized example. But I can at least show you how I would go about developing the input portion of this. So here's my main, so this is kind of my default program, and here's my default test program. And well, to start off with, we run test my IO, and it passed. And actually, I'm not going to be able to test main, so let's not do that. First thing I need to do is get a student, and so we'll change this to test get student. And probably what we'll start off by saying is assert get student equals none. And of course, if I run that right now, what am I going to get? It's going to say can't import get student because I haven't even written a skeleton for it. So we'll do a def get student and pass. And now, okay, test get student passed, which is good because it does nothing, but that's what my test said it should do. So, oh, and this is upset because I should say is none, but we're going to say what it should be equal to. So we're going to say this is what I expect the result of calling test student to look like. And it's going to have his proficiency in Python, and it's going to have the days or the times that he wants to be available, and it's going to have the times he doesn't want to be available. Now, the first problem that we face here is that get student is going to take keyboard input, and this doesn't feed keyboard input. So we have to use this incantation that was found in week 9, which is this thing about monkey patch. This parameter does nothing more than tell PyTest that I'm going to use this kind of stuff here. Okay, so we'll just copy this for the moment, and we will paste it into this program. And I need to say monkey patch here. Okay, and wow, so it was smart enough to know. Oh, because it looks like it's being passed in. So my editor says, oh, okay, that's good. And we need to now do the keyboard input to create this student. So what we're going to do is it's going to input a name, and it's going to input his proficiency, and it's going to input the times he wants to be available. And so I separate each input with a \n because that's the return or the enter key on your keyboard is what that represents. And I'll have an extra return to show that we're no longer inputting times he's available. Now we're inputting times he's unavailable. Okay, and so that string should cause get student to produce this output. It says right here. So let's see what happens. Well, it failed because get student doesn't do anything still. So now we've got to make get student. Oh, switching back and forth between windows madly. This is what I expected to bring up. Let's get student. So the first thing we want to do is get the student name. So student name equals input, please enter the student's name. And realistically, I should say if student name equals that, then I should break. Oh, no, not break. I should return none. Because when I use this, eventually I'm going to want a way to terminate inputting students. And this would be the signal that I'm done inputting students when I don't input a name. So I guess we could say, I don't know if that makes sense, enter to exit. I don't know. And so now we're going to say, so I want to get an integer for the student's proficiency, an integer between 0 and 10. And I could write that code here in line, but it would make a lot of sense to write a function that does that. So student proficiency equals get int. Do I need to say please every time? Students Python proficiency 0 through 10. Ooh. And then I'm going to pass in the limits 0 and 10. So this is going to be just like the getInt function that we used in the water meter program. And the only reason to do it here is to clean up getStudent a little bit, and perhaps I'm going to need an integer somewhere else in the program, who knows. But if I'm going to write a getInt, what do I need to do? First I need to write a test getInt. So we'll import getInt from my program, and we will write def test getInt. And it's going to need monkey patch because it's taking input from the keyboard. And so we'll say int input equals string IO. So I'm going to try inputting. Well, let's write some assert statements first, then we'll come back to this. So, I need to do the monkey patch dot set attr sys, and there actually is a reason behind this strange format for this call to set attr, but basically it says standard in, which is the keyboard. We're going to replace it with this string, or string IO, which looks like input from the keyboard. Maybe that's not a great explanation, but that's kind of what it means. So now I'm going to say assert getInt input a number. I guess I don't need to worry too much about the prompt since I'm not going to see this. So I want a number between 0 and 9 equals 0, because I'm going to test the upper and lower bounds. Okay, assert getInt, ASDF, because I don't care about the prompt here. We'll make this one from 3 to 15, and I want to make sure that that returns 15. So I want to see if I can get the lower bound of a range and if I can get the upper bound of the range. And it doesn't matter that they're not the same range. It's just because. Okay, so I'm going to test getInt. First I'm going to have it input A, so this is the input to getting a number 0 through 9. A should cause it to loop around. It shouldn't return. And then I'm going to have -1, and because that's below the range. Then I'm going to have 10 because that's above the range, and then I'll have 0, which is a valid value and what I expect it to return. Now I need to also input the values for this one. Okay, there's really no reason to test A again. This should already prove that it works for non-numeric input. So we're just going to say 2, which is off scale low, and 16, which is off scale high, and 15. So this is the input for both of these calls, all right? And so if the function is written correctly, both of these will pass. So let's try that. Cannot import getInt because I haven't defined it yet. Well, that's test-based development, isn't it? Def getInt prompt min and max. Pass. So now we should be able to import it, but it certainly didn't return the right value, which we didn't expect it to, really. So, and I'm going to comment out test get student because we know it's not going to work until I do more work on it, but this will keep me from having to see the output from it every time, and I can just see the output from test getInt. So now if I run it, it says collected 1 item, 1 failed. Okay, so now we'll write getInt, and we know it needs a while because I want to keep trying until I get a valid value. It needs a try to handle the value error, and I guess I kind of like to as VE. I kind of like to write, oops, there we go, like the except together with the try. And so this is just going to say print error, please enter a number. Something like that. So now we're going to say user input equals input prompt, and because I'm trapping that error, I can just say int right there. And then I can say if user input is greater than or equal to min and user input is less than or equal to max, return user input, and that should loop around if it fails. Why is that upset? Syntax error, invalid. For user input, I tend to use infinite loops and use the return to exit the loop. Some people will say that's bad practice, and it may in fact be, but it makes the cleanest code here. And so probably ought to have some sort of a comment that says infinite loop is terminated by a return statement. Something like that, so that we know I recognized I was doing bad programming practice. Okay, so nothing needs saving, so let's run. And it passed. So we know that when I input the letter A, it didn't return. When I input -1 for this one, it didn't return. When I input 10 for this one, it didn't return. But when I input 0, then it returned to 0, just like the assert statement says. And then I know for 3 through 15, 2 and 16 didn't cause it to return, but 15 caused it to return a 15. So my getInt function is working. So now let's go back to testing getStudent. So this still probably isn't going to work, right? Yeah, it still isn't working because it's not returning anything. So student proficiency equals getInt. Okay, good. Now we're going to say available times equals, I probably want to get times function too, right? enter the times the student is available. Unavailable times equals get times. There we go. Is unavailable. And then I can return the list of student name, student proficiency, available times, and unavailable times. And but of course now I need to write get times. Def get times. And it's going to take just a prompt because my times always look the same. But of course I need to write a def test get times. Now, one thing I forgot to point out, notice I didn't have to manually test get int. I didn't have to type in all these different values to make sure it did the right thing. The automated test did it for me. So that's where it saves the time for me, okay? So get times is going to take a monkey patch too. And I probably need to say get times here. What's that upset about? Oh, well, okay, so let's just start with assert get times equals none. I don't know. Start there. Now that's going to fail because I didn't give the correct parameters to get times. So I need a prompt. And since I'm not looking at the prompt, I'm just going to give it an empty string. And so now, oh, it's still a squiggly because it wants that to be is none. And the only problem with that is when I actually write get int, it's going to have a problem. Oh, I need to comment out test get student again, right? Because it's still just causing noise for me here. So, okay, test get times passed, but it didn't do what I wanted. So I'm going to say equals M1 U2. I should have started at 0, shouldn't I? Wednesday 0, Thursday 1, Friday 2, and Saturday 0. Okay, now is when I need to use my monkey patch. So this is time input equals string IO, and I'm going to input M, which shouldn't return anything. I'm going to input M3, which shouldn't return anything. I'm going to input M, no, right, okay, 20W, which shouldn't return anything. And then I'm going to return, oh, I need to try an illegal weekday. What's an illegal weekday? K. K0 shouldn't return anything. Now I'm finally going to say M1, U2, W0, H1. So it's painful to input my test data. It's kind of painful. It's not really bad. But I only have to do it once. Now I can say monkey patch dot set adder sys standard in time input. Okay. So I'm doing all my testing with just one call to get times. So now if I call this, get times is not going to pass because get times doesn't do anything. So let's see. While true again, time equals get time prompt if time equals none, return times, else times dot append time. And that's beautiful, except now I need to write the function get time, don't I? What's it upset about with times? Oh, I forgot to define my times. That's right. Times equals empty list. Okay, so it's upset about get time because I don't have a get time. Oh, and that wants it to be is. My editor is really picky with Python. So I need to say def get time prompt pass, and of course I need to write a test for get time. So we come down here and we say def test get time, and this is also a monkey patch. Time input equals, so I'm using the same variable name again. Alright, that's okay. And so actually I should test my illegal cases here in get time, because it should reject all of these first ones. So we're going to move those down here. And in get times, we just have to see if it returns the proper list. Okay, so now monkey patch dot set adder sys standard in, and it's still time input because I reused the same variable name. Assert get time, and I don't care about the prompt, equals, and I forgot to give this a legal one, didn't I? So I better put a, what should we put in there? S2 as my input. So now I expect get time to return S2. Now once again I can run this. So get times failed because I'm not done there yet. Get time failed because I haven't written it. Okay, so actually when I write get time, that should make get times passed also, right? So while true again, I'm not putting a comment in for each while true, am I? Time equals prompt input, not that, it's the variable prompt. Now I need to make sure it's a legal time, right? So if time sub 0 not in, so I'm going to do a negative logic here, is not in, so it's got to be a character, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, print first character should be one of M, U, W, H, F, or S. And we'll let the user try and figure out what that means. Elif time sub 1 not in 0, 1, 2 print second character should be one of 0, 1, or 2. And I guess I'm really counting on the user to know what those mean. So it's up here in the comment. Else return time. Okay. And why is that upset? Oh, because okay, sometimes it holds onto the squiggly after the line is done. And what I forgot was, if time equals that, well, it has to return a valid time, right? So I don't need that. What I need is ling time not equal to print input must be 2 characters. Okay, so let's see what happens now. String index out of range. Interesting. So test get time got string index out of range. Oh, I forgot to put the else here. Okay. Because I knew I had a 1 character input, but it shouldn't have gotten there because of this test, but that's because I didn't put the else, so it did get there. All right, let's see what that got. So get time passed, but get times failed. Let's see. So it failed in get time because I didn't provide enough input. So is my test correct? Test get times. So these are, that's legal, that's legal, that's legal, that's legal, that's legal, that's legal. Oh, I don't have any way to end getting times. I'm supposed to return none. So I need to say if time equals, so I did need this condition. And then I need to make this, well, I guess technically it doesn't need to be an elif, but just to make this consistent. I still got an EOF. Why is that? It's still in get time. Oh, okay. I forgot to put the, so this one terminates S0, and then this is the empty one to terminate get time. Okay, everything's saved. Try it one more time. Okay, now those pass. Now, finally, I can uncomment get student, and I don't remember, is get student complete? Let's see. Nope. Get time got an unavailable, so that's probably something wrong in my input here, right? So let's see. Whoops. this was the test program. Okay, so Adam Smith is a 5. I want him available those 2 times. There's the empty line to terminate that, but I didn't put in an empty line to terminate the second set. Okay, let's see what that gets us. Look at that. So, as you can see, I didn't know ahead of time what functions I was going to need. But each time I wrote a function, and I've still got squigglies. This one's because it wants an extra line there. This one is because the line is too long, as is that one. I'm going to leave those as squigglies. Local variable VE is assigned but never used. Oh, that's true. I didn't use it. Okay. All right. So each time I wanted to write a program, I first wrote the test for it, and then I wrote the program, or the function, to make it pass the test. And although it takes a little bit of decoding sometimes, especially when you're doing keyboard input, to figure out what went wrong, I've never had to type anything. I didn't run this program at all. In fact, my main is still empty. And now I could write main. I could say while true, that's how all of mine look, doesn't it? Student equals get student, and get student takes nothing. If student equals none, I forgot to put the colon there. We're going to break out of our loops. That means we're done. Oh, I thought, gee, there should be another condition there. There is. Students dot append student, and of course I got a red squiggly because I haven't defined students equals the empty list. Now, should I test this by typing at the keyboard? No, actually, I should test it by writing a test. Def test main. And it's got to be a monkey patch 2 because I'm still doing keyboard input, right? It's going to be a long keyboard input this time. So main input equals string IO. And let's see, let's do Adam. You know what? We're going to do something a little bit different here. No. Well, yes, I will. No, we're not. Okay. Adam 5. Oh, this is still string input. Okay. 5 U1, no quote there. So that's the only time he's going to be available. S0, S1. That inputs the time, that terminates the time input, and that terminates the student input. And now we've got to say Betsy, who's going to be a 7, and she's going to be M0, M1, M2. Where did I get that W from? I don't know. It's not really there. Okay. So matching input is required. Okay, that was supposed to be, okay, that was M2. Why am I getting that? So that terminates the available times, and that terminates the unavailable times, so there won't be any. And that terminates the student input, and we'll just go with 2 students. Monkey patch dot set adder sys. I could have just copied this line, couldn't I have? Main input assert. Oh, I didn't make main return anything. Normally main wouldn't return anything. I was going to have it print out. For purposes of keeping this just a little bit shorter, we're going to say return students. And oh, it doesn't mind me returning from main. Okay. Is none. Okay. Assert main equals, so it's Adam, and he's a 5, and he's available U1. It's got to be a string. That's the only time he's available, and he's unavailable S0, S1, and that's all he's available. And now we've got Betsy, who is a 7, and she is available M0, M1. Oh, she's not unavailable. Okay. I forgot the open quote there. And M2, and I need an empty list for the time she's not available. Okay, let's try that. If I did everything right, that should also pass, right? Ah, main is not defined because I forgot to import it. So somehow I didn't get the right list. Certain none equals. So it, oh, I forgot to save the other file. That's one of the dangers of editing things at the same time. Okay, so it still didn't work. Right contains one more item. That matches. And if they didn't match, it would give me a different error. Well, all right. In order not to stretch this out any longer, I'm going to let you go at this point. Thanks for watching.